It's not my moose, but it's a wild animal. Get the away from it, you idiots.
Let it be wild. Don't have to like.
Jesus Christ, you guys must be the dumbest people I've ever met in my life.
Go ahead, touch it.
Go ahead, try. Go ahead, try. See what happens. See what the happens.
See how long that leg will go.
Get the away from the moose.
A little closer.
It's the moose though.
A little closer.
Go on.
You guys are idiots.
Get him.
Yeah, get him.
Yes.
Get him. Get him.
It ain't my moose, but it'll mess you up. I'm sitting here up in my truck, watching you win your darling war. If you wake up at all, you're waking up sore. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. The antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, moving that snoot at him all in a rage. The antlers there, I mean it's time to go. Heading out to the national park, rolling down the back way off in the dark. You might not know what walks out on these old dirt roads. Might hear and snort some eyes in the night, might come turning out and give you a fright. You might even drop your load. It ain't my moose, but it'll rock your world. He'll run you down, you'll be tossed and twirled, watching you win your Darwin Award. If you wake up at all, you're waking up sore. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, pooping that suit at him all in a rage. Them antlers there mean it's time to go. Heading out to the national park, rolling down the back way off in the dark. You might not know what walks out on these old dirt roads. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. It ain't my moose, but it'll mess you up while sitting here up in my truck, watching you win your Darwin Award. If you wake up at all, you're waking up sore. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, pooping that suit at him all in a rage. Them antlers there mean it's time to go. Heading out to the national park, rolling down the back way off in the dark. You might not know what walks out on these old dirt roads. Don't come up here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, pooping that suit at him all in a rage. Them antlers there mean it's time to go. Here, start poking the bull, taking them selfies, thinking you're cool. Them antlers there, they ain't just there for show. Leave that moose alone. Gonna put it up on your Instagram page, pooping that suit at him all in a rage. Them antlers there mean it's time to go.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. Eat the cat, eat the cat. 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 They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. Eat the cat.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
The people on television said my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people on
I'm taking it from
television
the
said
city
the
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President
find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
Talk about extreme.
In the morning when I leave my den, I'm moisturized with the tears of men. Stir my tea with a crucifix. I'm an ugly and nasty. Call me bitch. In the evening when I'm on the rag, I just rip out a couple of American flags. Take a nice hot bath in the blood of the rich. I'm an ugly and nasty. Call me bitch. I try to think, but it hurts my brain, so I have an abortion or find champagne. I'm a Jezebel. I'm a wicked witch. I'm an ugly and nasty. Call me bitch. Weekends when I want some fun, castrate a man, take away his gun, drive a classic car into a ditch. I'm an ugly and nasty. Call me bitch. Well, I know I am, but what are you? Some fascist bootleg Nazi tool? A whiny boy with a tiny dick? Or a dumb fuck redneck backward hick? Did I get it right? Did I peg you yet? Maybe we don't know who we ain't met. Maybe nobody wins, but the already rich. If you're a dumb redneck and I'm a commie.
All right, good morning, my beauties and bees, and welcome back to the Hive. It is Saturday morning. We are live from the Hive. It's 9:41 right now, and we're just getting started. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late. Had a lot of musical interludes there. Stayed up way too late working on a lot of stuff, so I slept too late, and now I'm kind of running behind. But I'm here. I'm here in full Mall Goth regalia because that's what we're starting off with today. But we'll get to that in just a second. Before we do, I just want to thank everybody for showing up this morning. Thank you, everybody who regularly comes and hangs out in the Hive with me every Saturday morning. I really do appreciate you. As my life situation changes around, having this as something of stability for me makes a huge difference in my world. So I really appreciate you. You're amazing, beautiful people. And yeah, I don't have too much of a preamble today, again, because we're running kind of late. But I do want to say that I started a new project on for my cryptid, it's called Crypto, for my patrons and for my for my channel members, it's called Cryptophylogeny. But let me, oh, not that one. It's one to take me to the transpositions, which also was my other channel that's doing pretty good. All things considered. We had Arden on last week. It was pretty cool. Let me see here. Yeah, so I started doing my cryptophylogeny stuff, where I've been working on these for a while, but I never thought I would do anything with them, but I think I'm going to. So, yeah, we'll put it there. We'll put it right here. So the first critter that came up while setting this up was yeah, and this is what the patrons can see, so y'all getting kind of a sneak peek behind the scenes. So channel members and patrons have access to this. This is the devil monkey, or Michigan Dogman, or east of Bray Road. I built it a phylogeny of where it fits into the tree of life. I've built it an ecology and given it a scientific description, an ecological role, and a reason for the behaviors that are reported for this creature. So if you're interested in this kind of silly, it's almost what it is a spec evolution, right? It's spec evolution for cryptids in like in a alternative version of our world where they fit into our current phylogeny and where they fall and why they're the way they are. Why are you like this, little devil monkey, you may ask? And then I'm going to answer that question today. I'm going to say, why are there 3 black ones and a tan one here together? There's an answer for that right there in the text. How big do these things get? Why do people call them werewolves? Can we get larger versions of these pictures? Absolutely. All things that will be available for you if you sign up to be a channel member. If you get a channel membership gifted to you, if you sign up on the Patreon. So there's a few ways that you can get access to these cryptophylogeny files, which is what I'm calling them, my cryptophylogeny files, to explain the life cycle of our favorite cryptids. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely stick around the Hive. Definitely consider subscribing so you can find out the life history of the Michigan Dogman. All right. Thank you so much for letting me do my little plug here. I'm just right now I'm kind of in a situation where, you know, every penny counts. So whatever I can do to appease my Hive and make it more accessible, I certainly will. Make this more of a channel of what you want to see and not necessarily always what I want to make. So, yeah. Anyway, who's ready for Cryptic Corner though? I'm all dressed up for Cryptic Corner again today. The most mall goth that I could pull off, but we are going to get into it now. So I will see you guys over there. Good morning, my beauties and bees, and welcome back to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore the world, of the unexplained, the supernatural, the paranormal and hidden, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I am your host, Miss Bumblebee, and today we're going to be exploring a classic from the 90s, I guess you would say, but it really got its feet in the early 2000s. It's a phenomena that was like current and happening now when I was first starting to get into the paranormal investigation scene, and I really wanted to investigate one of these someday and find a case and explore the reasons for it, but none ever came up. They're always just a little bit too far away, it seems. Always just out of reach. But isn't that the case with all the cryptids? I'm trying to adjust my sound a little bit. There we go. Today, the topic is something that we would call black-eyed children, and then it evolved into black-eyed kids. But whichever way you spin it, the lore is kind of follows the basic principle, which we will pick up on as we move through this series, no doubt. But today we are looking at a channel called The In-Between. It's 48K views. She's got a lot of content, and some of these are long. We're not going to get through all of this, obviously. If you look over here, you'll see you got 25, 31, 18, 20, 28-minute videos. We're not going to get through all of it. We're kind of going to hop around. But there's a few that I do want to get to. But first, we need to establish what a black-eyed kid is. So I think let's start at the beginning for that. I think that's the best way to go about it. She's going to break it down for us at the beginning. Again, this is The In-Between. It's like a supernatural storytelling channel. You see she's got like Mount Shasta and stuff like that. More black-eyed kid stuff. I've never covered her channel before. This will be the first time. She's got lots of Dogman and alien stuff, ghost stuff. But let's see what she has to offer today when it comes to black-eyed kids.
In 1998, John Northwood was casually walking to his car in a parking garage after a business meeting. But before he can unlock the door and get in, Doug, another business meeting attendee, comes up to him and says, "Hey man, I really hate to bug you, but can you just drive me around the block a few times?" John says, "Why do you need me to drive you around the block?" Doug, obviously shaken up, says, "There's a group of weird kids hanging around my car. They asked me for a ride, and I told them no, but now they won't leave. So I just want to go away until they leave." Strange request, but John agrees, and they climb into John's car and start making their way out of the parking garage. And as they get close to Doug's car, John can see why Doug might be a little nervous, as he sees 3 creepy-looking kids standing around dressed in what looks like gothic clothing. And as the 2 men drive by, a sudden feeling of breath.
Okay. And you're gonna notice all theme to this. These kids are always in goth clothing. So, and before we get too far into this, well, no, let's let her cook for a little bit.
Taking panic and fear overcomes them both, complete with premonitions that something bad is about to go down.
And I was gonna wear a hoodie for this too, because black and dark hoodies are part of the staple, but I was too hot in a hoodie. Yeah, I was gonna wear a hoodie and be a full-on black-eyed kid.
Strangely, considering the level of fear that both men are currently experiencing, as they pass Doug's car, John has a sudden, uncontrollable compulsion to stop his car. And when he does, the youngest kid, a girl of maybe about 10, walks up to John's window and says, "It's scary out there all alone. We just want to ride home." That's when John,
a 10-year-old goth girl, walked up to you and said that. First of all, when we were doing the mall goth thing, there were not 10-year-olds involved. I think the youngest people that were hanging out in our Jinkos and beanies and makeup were maybe 15, maybe 14 at the youngest. There were no 10-year-olds. Good grief.
And Doug see that the kids have solid black pools for eyes. A sight jarring enough to snap John out of the trance that he didn't even know he was in. And as his thoughts come crashing back to him, he puts the car in reverse, stomps on the gas, sending the car squealing backwards. And the kids give chase. John turns the car back around and speeds around the parking garage circle until he eventually makes it back down to the first floor, where one of the kids is waiting for them. John and Doug exchange a mutual WTF glance, as there is no way that kid should have been able to beat their car to the bottom. But
it's not possible that there's another kid dressed in a similar fashion that was maybe walking to meet his friends in the parking garage or something. Then there's not a possibility of that at all.
keep driving, race right past the kid, and exit the parking ramp. And when they do, the oppressive, all-consuming sense of dread that they felt subsided. And the two men just drive around for a while until they finally summon up the courage to go back and see if the coast is clear. It is.
Goth kids are not dangerous. I just want to make sure everybody, this is in 98. Maybe they didn't know that back then, but we're not, I was a goth kid. So I don't do the whole goth thing on now all the time, but I am doing the goth thing at this moment because of this. But actually, I think I need more darker eyeshadow for my black eyes. I'm going to blacken my eyes while we watch this.
Taking a deep breath, Doug gets out of the car, thanks John, hurries and gets into his car, eager to end this day. John backs his car up a little bit so that Doug can get out of his space. Doug backs up out of his space and heads toward the exit with John right behind him. And as he's about to pull out onto the street, John feels that same crushing feeling of looming disaster hit him again. And John watches as Doug pulls out into the street, rushes through a yellow light, and gets hit by a speeding truck, killing him instantly. And John, his head spinning, unable to wrap his mind over what just happened, starts looking around for someone to help. And there, not far off, hiding in the shadows, having witnessed that entire gruesome scene, are the three black-eyed children.
It's usually three, but a lot of the early sightings were just a boy and a girl. Now, some of the other sightings, some of the really early sightings would have the kids dressed in dated clothes, like from the 1920s or earlier, like that you wouldn't see kids wearing today. Almost, where a lot of people get the impression that maybe they were looking at like Mennonite children, right? Like they thought they were looking at, because the kids would be, the girls would be wearing dresses or bonnets, and then the boys would be wearing what not coveralls, overalls, or not overalls even, suspenders, just suspenders to hold their pants up and stuff. Little boys. It was always like an older girl and a little boy. Now, the lore as it unfolds slowly developed until it became like goth kids or mall goth kids specifically, because a lot of times they were just in hoodies and in like black hoodies and just the aesthetic wasn't there for the more traditional goth look. But that's what they call mall goth. It's like a mixture between like the nu metal scene clothes, the early 90s skate culture, and like heavy metal, and a little like the goth part of it is just that it's dark and spooky, I guess. And some of the makeup's the same. Some of the makeup styles are the same from all goth and regular goth, but there was a whole aesthetic difference. Nobody really. Well, maybe people do still dress mall goth today. I don't know, but like Korn and Linkin Park and stuff like that. Those are the bands. Anyway, but it's like Hot Topic enjoyer. Exactly, Logan. I was a Hot Topic enjoyer. But one of the most popular bands at this time, especially in like 98, was a band called Limp Bizkit. Now, Limp Bizkit had this bass player, right? Or no, he was a guitar player. Named Wes Borland. He still plays. He's about 10 years older than me, but he's Blacklight Glows is his other band. But he's a theatrical kind of dude. He likes to dress up in weird costumes and stuff. But for a long time, his signature look was the black eyes. So you have this guy running around, right? With his black eyes, showing black-eyed contacts. Now, colored contacts were all the rage. They were like actually, for the first time, they were affordable to like, well, reasonably affordable like normal people, right? But he was finally able to, or the people were finally able to, change their eyes to be cat eyes or werewolf eyes or black eyes, and black eyes were popular because that's what Westmoreland did. So a lot of the mall goth kids wore these full black contacts, like Westmoreland from Limp Bizkit. So keep that in mind as we move through these and you describe who these kids are.
Chris from Arkansas wrote into Darkness Radio, my Minnesota homies, with a bizarre black-eyed kid encounter he had in 2015. Around the end of April, beginning of May, Chris was in Oregon for work. He worked for a company that handled the customer service member privilege point of sale system for Planet Fitness. And he was there checking on a few locations. And since Planet Fitness is a 24/7 business, he had to cater to all the shifts and would show up at the club locations several times, both night and day. One night at approximately 11:30 at night, he was headed to the Planet Fitness in Beaverton, Oregon. His rental car had Bluetooth capabilities, and he was playing an episode of Coast to Coast AM on the car's speakers.
This is what's called priming yourself. Now, when I worked overnight, I would listen to Coast and prime myself, and I was working in basically a nursing home type setting, except for they were disabled people. But I would be like in there just doing the overnight cleaning and stuff like that. Have my headphones in listening to some Art Bell, some old Art Bell usually. But you get yourself primed, and all of a sudden I'm spooked out, right? All of a sudden, I was a smoker back then, so all of a sudden when I go out for my cigarette and we standing in this rural residential neighborhood, I would start to see shadows moving and stuff while I'm sitting out there listening to Art Bell. It's priming your brain. You prime your brain to see something spooky, and you're going to see something spooky.
Episode was a George Newry episode, and George had a guest on to talk about the jinn. And Chris remembers because George brought up the idea of black-eyed kids to the guest, who said she thought that was jinn related. And looking back, that was a serious...
Well, you shouldn't even be getting behind the wheel if you've been drinking gin, though. So it doesn't matter if there's black-eyed kids asking for a ride or not. You should not be driving. I assume they're talking about the jinn from Arabic mythology, from Islamic mythology. It's pre-Islamic though. Jinn are pre-Islamic spirits. They existed as part of the culture in the Fertile Crescent region and in the Arabian Peninsula for thousands of years before Islam, but the Islam did incorporate them. They're as evil spirits, which is their. I don't know if you knew this, is the origins for the genie and the lamp.
Coincidence, because what happened when he arrived at the club chilled him to the core. When Chris arrives at the club, he decides to have a smoke in the parking lot with the driver's side window of his car open so he can continue to listen to Coast AM without actually smoking in the car so he doesn't get a fine.
You are smoking in the car. Just because you have the window down doesn't mean you're not smoking in the car.
Planet Fitness there is in an L-shaped strip mall. And he doesn't remember all the stores in the strip mall, but Planet Fitness is furthest to the right, and all the way to the left is a pharmacy of some kind. And Chris's passenger side is parallel with Planet Fitness, which is about 30 feet away from a streetlight. And the pharmacy is about 75 yards away and is obviously closed. And Chris is just leaning on his car, smoking and playing on his phone. He looks up.
He's not playing on that kind of phone, not back in 1998, he's not. What year did they say this was?
Glances at the pharmacy and can see from the light of the marquee sign 2 people standing in front of it. And he thinks, well, that's weird. Why would these people be standing outside an obviously closed pharmacy at almost midnight? But the thought is fleeting.
How far away is the Hot Topic? Is the Hot Topic open? So it's almost midnight. Probably not. There's probably not much open at all in that strip mall. But goth kids do be hanging out. They do be hanging out late into the night.
And Chris is once again head down, Facebooking on his phone. After a few seconds, he looks up again. And he notices that the
Facebook. So this, when she mentions the movie's Mortal Kombat here, it must be the newest Mortal Kombat. I thought she was talking about the old Mortal Kombat.
Two people that he can now tell are kids or teenagers are about 20% closer. And it strikes him as odd. He didn't see them walk to that location, and they are just looking at him. And Chris says he knows that they were only looking in his general direction. But he adds, only half sarcastically, that it feels like they are looking into his soul. From this distance, he can tell that both are wearing hooded sweatshirts.
Oh.
They're dark in color, and both kids have their hoods up, and they are just outside that street light glow. Light, but not enough to see any real details. And maybe this...
So they're silhouetted. There's two kids in hoodies silhouetted in the dark looking at him. In a strip mall at midnight, waiting for it looks like there's a movie that's playing. It's almost over.
This should have raised some flags, but once again, Chris's head goes back to his phone. And around this time, George is talking to his guest about evil spirit attachment in items from the Middle East that servicemen had brought back home with them. And Chris glances back up, and the kids are now 25 or 30 feet away from him. They are once again outside of the direct streetlight glow, but this time...
So they were like far away before then. They must have been like 90 feet away. It's like, oh, 20 feet, and then he looks down, and then they're 20 feet closer again. Yeah.
He can see them much clearer. This time, their heads are aimed down. He can't see their faces, but he can...
Maya says, I'm not convinced she's not just reading an R.L. Stein book and inserting black-eyed children at the end.
Make out their clothes. One has an olive drab green hooded sweatshirts with no markings and no insignias. The hoodie is up over the top of what appears to be a gray baseball hat with, again, no marking.
Gray and green. What kind of goth even is this kid? This is just a dude or kid. It's not even a goth kid.
Or insignias. Baggy, nondescript jeans and black low-top shoes, also with no markings of any kind. The other is dressed...
I'm telling you what, I don't... Maybe I'm a terrible detective. I probably am. I feel like I'm a good detective, at least for wildlife. But when it comes to people, I don't know if I saw a gaggle of teenagers, if I would be able to remember what brand everybody's shoes were. I don't know if I'd be able to remember what kind of logo was on everybody's shoes. I think the reason I call this mall goth is because it's the hoodie and baggy jeans combo. Which, if we go back to Limp Bizkit and look, that's their signature look on their first album was the hoodie and ball cap. That's their look. Hoodie and ball cap and baggy jeans. All right, that's just the look at the time, but it sounds like maybe this is a bit later, because like she said, she was Facebooking. Facebooking is post-mall goth. Post-mall goth.
Very similarly. The only difference
maybe
being a navy blue.
Maybe retro mall goth. Yeah, maybe.
Blue zip-up hoodie, with the hoodie up over the top of what looks to be a black baseball cap, khaki pants, and white shoes. Same as the first. Nothing to distinguish any brands on any of the articles of clothing. And the kids are standing still. Chris didn't see them move to their current location. And it's...
Why you gotta be throwing shade at the low-income families who can't afford brand name clothes. That's what I feel like here. Like, I was the poor kid who wore, generic black hoodie, generic baggy jeans, whatever, off-brand shoes with no clear branding on them.
It's like they're frozen, not moving at all. And he doesn't know how or why, but he just goes back to his phone, not bothered at all. But Chris gets a weird...
Didn't he just say he was like freaking out a minute ago? Like he felt they were looking into his soul. Now he's not bothered at all. Are we sure that this guy's not just looking at some display mannequins? We are in a mall parking lot.
Weird feeling this time, almost instantly, and looks up, and there they are, 5 feet in front of him, and not moving, just closer. And again,
they turned black. Oh no. He thought he was safe, then he found out that there were black people around, and now he feels unsafe. No, he doesn't. I don't think they ever say that the kids were black, but just pulling that image up and being like, oh, and suddenly there was a black person, and it was scary, is so cringe. It's like so cringe. Could have picked any other picture to use there.
Just outside of the light from the street light. But this time, he has the best view yet of what they look like. Their clothes were weird. They were too big. Not too big like kids in the 90s wore, but too big like hand-me-downs. And they're faded. Chris can see the colors of everything that they're wearing, but it's like they're dingy. And he can tell.
Yeah, and you're throwing shade at these obviously kids that come from an impoverished household about their dingy, faded, off-brand clothing, dude. And then you're talking. Poor people are not a supernatural phenomena. We're real. We exist.
By their physical build, that they're both males, and judging by their size, he's guessing they were about 15 years old. Still not bothered, Chris tosses the cigarette butt underneath the car and looks at the kids and says, "Hey guys, what's going on? Anything I can do for you?"
"Please, kind sir, may we borrow a cigarette? It's very lonely at night. We only need one cigarette. Thank you. Please."
After they finish speaking, they slowly raise their heads.
Oh my goodness. Do not give kids cigarettes. This was, yeah. I started smoking super early because people were so willing to give kids cigarettes. I wish they weren't. Looking back, I wish more people had been like, no, and I'll call the cops.
To show Chris their faces. And Chris remembers thinking, it's kind of late for teenagers to be out on a Thursday. And almost as if they plucked that thought straight out of his head, he hears,
"It's quite all right. We have permission."
As soon as permission rolls off the lips of the second kid, their faces are now even with Chris's, showing him solid jet black eyes. Chris freezes. His mind starts going about 1,000,000 miles a minute because, damn it, he knows what black-eyed kids are. Well, not what they are, but he knows.
Does he know who Limp Bizkit is? Does Chris know who Limp Bizkit is?
Knows of them. He can't move or speak, but he sees that their faces are pretty much the definition of the word blank. But only almost, because the edges around their slit straight mouths start to curl up ever so slightly. And the inside of Chris's stomach begins to get colder.
So is it like, let's see, like this? Maybe?
And with all his might, he tries to turn his face, but he can't. The second kid takes a step forward, and the movement catches Chris's eye, and he looks down. And the moment that eye contact is broken, everything Chris knows about black-eyed kids' encounters comes rushing into his head. Chris turns around.
I had to do the Kubrick stare. I'm actually really good at it. One of my talents. Maybe I should have been an actress.
And runs into the club, sprinting in loafers, all of his 6'1", 250 pounds, screaming the entire way. The young kids at the counter just stare at him as he comes barreling through the door. And he tries his best to explain to the blank faces at the staff behind the counter. But in Chris's estimation, they aren't cool enough to have heard about black-eyed kids. He turns around and looks back out the plate glass window of the club and sees the two teenagers standing side by side, looking in the club window. And when Chris sees them, chills run down his spine.
So homie's like, comes running in there and he's like, oh my gosh, there's two kids outside in dingy off-brand hoodies. They looked at me. They asked to bum a smoke. I'm terrified. Ah. This lady looks like your mom. I'm definitely not throwing shade at this host in any way at all. I think she's the voice. She's the storyteller. The people who put these stories together are generally the ones that are going to be responsible for the woo claims, for pretending that 90s goth kids with colored contacts are supernatural phenomena. Being a YouTuber is a type of acting, yeah, and unfortunately for people who know me in real life, I'm not always this bubbly. I stay bubbly for you guys because I love you and you make me happy. You all keep me in character by keeping the joy flowing as I sort through this stuff that makes me laugh and feel good. Punks at the club seems normal, I guess. Yeah, like, and the staff looks out the window like, oh, there's just a couple of kids out there outside the Planet Fitness at night. Nothing weird. A couple of kids in hoodies trying to bum smokes off people in the parking lot. Maybe we should run them off. But nope, they're ghosts. Unforgettable Halloween.
This story comes from Reddit user SarahBeth11. And Sarah Beth says that she is by no means a writer, just a domestic engineer living in North Texas. And she also states that she does not believe in the paranormal. Not ghosts, not demons, not aliens, none of it. However,
none of it.
The event that happened to her on Halloween of 2013 has left her scratching her head ever since. This was her first and last post on Reddit. And she says she had never heard of the black-eyed kids until the day before she shared her story when she told her best friend about the incident. And her friend, an avid reader of No Sleep Stories, told Sarah Beth, if you don't post this, I will. Now, according to Sarah Beth, that night had been a pretty slow trick-or-treat night for her neighborhood, which is pretty odd. They usually have kids from different areas being dropped off in their neighborhood, creating a constant parade of kids at the door.
Well, I mean, trick-or-treating kind of tapered off over the last 20 years or so. Most people go to trunk or treats, or the ones they have at strip malls, or Halloween parades that they do like downtown in small towns and stuff, instead of the traditional trick-or-treating door-to-door anymore. COVID nixed a lot of that too, but I still took my kids trick-or-treating until they were too big to want to go anymore, but a lot of people don't. It's just not a thing that happens a lot anymore.
But oddly, that night they had no more than 8 or 10 groups of kids all night. And around 9:30, she and her husband are in the family room watching one of those ghost shows that are based on actual events. And while
priming themselves, priming their brains to think things are a little more spookier than they are, that mall goth kids are demons.
She and her husband both discount the paranormal stuff, They do love a good ghost story, and it's Halloween, right? Sarah Beth and her husband hadn't had any activity at their door in over a half an hour. So they decided it's time to get up and turn off the porch light and let their dog Chloe out of her crate. Chloe is an American bulldog, and she's very docile. They only put her in her crate because they were afraid that Chloe would try to get out and play with all of the kids. And Sarah Beth didn't feel like chasing her down the street. And they didn't want her to scare any of the kids, because she can look a little intimidating for the younger kids. So Sarah Beth gets up, turns the outside light off, lets Chloe out of her crate, who follows Sarah Beth back to the couch and lays at her feet. And it was getting close to 10 p.m. when her husband says, you know what, I gotta work tomorrow. I'm tired. I'm gonna go upstairs, take a shower, and go to bed. And her teenage son was out with his friends at a local haunted house, and she didn't expect him to be back for at least another hour. So that left Sarah Beth alone on the couch with Chloe. Now, just because she says she doesn't believe doesn't mean those ghost shows don't freak her out a bit. And now,
that's called
watching
priming.
them alone,
Horror movies will prime your brain. Reading the scary stories will prime your brain. Going to a haunted house, like a real, like, supposed haunted house, will prime you, because you'll read the history of it, or the person telling you on the tour will tell you the history of it to prime you up to experience every creak in the wood, every gust of wind, every distant voice as something supernatural, right? You're priming yourself to experience it that way. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it is like absolutely a blast to prime yourself to be scared. That's why people do stuff like ghost tours and things. But it doesn't mean that those experiences are genuine. It doesn't mean that the place was actually haunted. They do research on these haunted locations, right? And a lot of times they find things like infrasound reverberation, maybe from an overpass, or like the shape of the Stanley Hotel's basement, I believe, made infrasound that they believe resonated through the rest of the hotel, making people feel uncomfortable when the snowpack was just right.
He admits she was a little on edge. It wasn't long after she heard the water upstairs turn on for the shower when she hears a light knock, knock, knock at the front door. And Sarah Beth's initial reaction is, what the hell? It's 10 o'clock. Go home. But an uneasy feeling comes over her. Why the knock? Their doorbell glows, and in the dark, without the porch light, it would be extra bright. It would be extra...
If the porch light's off, trick-or-treaters should be coming anyway. Should be somebody else popping in.
Extra obvious to anybody standing there. And Sarah Beth pauses. She can't really ignore it. Their front door has a big beveled glass panel, and anyone standing right at the door can see in enough to see that somebody is in the family room watching TV. It would be pretty rude for her to just sit there and not answer it. Knock, knock, knock. Again from the door. She glances down at Chloe, and Chloe is gone. And Sarah looks along the usual path that Chloe takes to the front door, expecting her to be on her way there. But nothing. Chloe's not there. Sarah Beth stands up to look around the room better and finds Chloe crouching by the back door like she wants to go out. However, Chloe never asks to go out that way. She always comes and licks Sarah Beth's hand or put...
So, animals can be weird to certain people. Or certain people at certain times of the day. They don't like to have their routine messed up. Dogs can definitely be scared when somebody knocks in the middle of the night. The dogs have an understanding of time and the way that our routines work, and when we're going to be having visitors. And a dog that had been dealing with trick-or-treaters all night coming to the door while it was in its crate is going to be freaking scared.
Puts her head on her knee. That was totally out of character for Chloe. And Sarah Beth admits that Chloe's odd behavior only heightens her anxiety. Chloe, crate, she says. Chloe just turns back to look at Sarah Beth like, hell no, lady, I ain't moving. And Sarah Beth yells up to her husband, but she knows if he's already stepped into the shower, there is no way he's gonna hear her. Knock, knock, knock. Again. About that same time, a car drives down the street and casts just enough light onto the door that Sarah Beth can see the silhouette of 2 young children on the other side of the glass. She
2 children
instantly
this time.
feels relief. It's just some kids. Probably a couple of neighbors who are on their way back home for trick-or-treating and just want to stop and show Sarah Beth their costumes. And she heads to the door and looks back to make sure that Chloe isn't following her. What a great watchdog, she thinks to herself as Chloe just sits there, not moving any.
Again, it's been Halloween night, and you've had the dog in the kennel all night, or in this crate all night, while the doorbell rings and strange voices come to the door, and people come to the door. The dog's in the crate and can't see, doesn't know what's going on, and it's all night long. Finally, you let the dog out, it's sitting on the couch with you, and it starts up while the dog's out, and the dog gets nervous and scared and goes to hide as far away from the front door as possible. You go and you pursue the dog, and you're like, hey, what's wrong? And to tell the dog to go back in its crate. And the dog's been in its crate all night. It doesn't want to go back in its crate. It just doesn't want to be in there when you open the door because it's nervous.
Closer to the door. And Sarah Beth turns on the porch light when she gets to the door. And sure enough, she can see through the glass that it's 2 pretty young kids. And she thinks, it's a little late for such young kids. And wonders about what kind of parents would let their kids roam the streets this late at night. And she opens the door, but only wide enough to where she can block Chloe's escape should she decide to get brave. So only a couple of feet. And what strikes Sarah Beth immediately as odd is that the kids aren't wearing any costumes. Just their...
What strikes me as odd is that Sarah Beth didn't flip on the porch light before opening the door. Who answers the door like that? Who doesn't turn on the light before they answer the door when the doorbell rings or somebody knocks in the middle of the night? I think most of us probably would, right? I mean, I can only speak for myself.
Normal street clothes. Also,
Morning, Robert.
No customary trick-or-treat either. And Sarah Beth starts to feel very uneasy again. Standing at the door are a boy and a girl. The girl to Sarah's left is older, about 11 or 12. And she can tell the girl is blonde, but she can't make out any distinct features because of the way that the porch lights are hung. Most of the light falls behind them. And Sarah Beth had not opened the door wide enough.
So you did turn the porch light on.
For any of the inside light to fall directly on them either. But she can tell that the boy is younger, probably a foot shorter, maybe 8 or 9 years old, and looks to have light brown hair. The girl very politely speaks up. Ma'am, can we come inside to use your phone to call our mom? As the girl speaks, something in the pit of Sarah Beth's stomach is telling her something is wrong. What kid, even at that age, doesn't have a cell phone of their own these days?
In 2013,
she can't remember the last time anybody asked to use her home phone. Hon? Don't you have a phone of your own that you can call your mom on? And both kids turn and look at one another like they're about to say something. But they never do. They just both turn back to Sarah Beth. And she says, Ma'am, my cell phone battery doesn't have any charge left in it. Can we please come inside and call our mother? We're alone out here, and my brother is scared. And Sarah Beth admits that there are now 2 competing feelings going on inside of her. The first...
Got the devil on each shoulder. So right now, it doesn't sound like anything spooky still to me. I am going to complain once again that your porch lights aren't good enough to be able to tell who's standing on your porch, that they're not much good as porch lights.
A mother's heart that desperately wants to help these 2 young children get back to their mom. The other, a sinking fear in her stomach that keeps the other feeling at bay. It was then that Sarah Beth noticed that during their conversation, she had actually opened up the door a few more inches that she had no recollection of doing. She stops. Honey, why don't you give me your mother's number and I'll call her myself. Another pause, and the kids once again look at each other without saying anything. And after a moment, they both turn back to Sarah Beth, and the girl says, Ma'am, my little brother needs to use your bathroom. Can we come inside while you call our mom? And with that last statement, the little girl moves closer toward the door, like she's...
So, she's got a perfect out for this, right? She can say, I'm sorry. My husband's actually in the shower right now, so you can't use my bathroom. But I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab my phone. Come back with the phone and be like, okay, now what's your mother's number? Doop, 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 doop. Hey, got your kids standing out front here. I think they may have got lost walking home from trick-or-treating or something. But I'm at so-and-so address. Can you come get them? Yeah, I'll wait here, right here on the porch with you till your mom gets here, okay? And I'm sure she'll rush you home so you can use the bathroom as quickly as possible. I'm sorry, my husband's just in the shower right now. There's no way you can get in there to use the bathroom. Depending on where I live, I might tell if it's number 1 or number 2, I might tell him to go behind a bush, but...
She's just gonna walk right on past Sarah Beth. And as the girl makes that forward move, she steps into the light coming from inside of the house, giving Sarah Beth her first real good look at the girl. Solid, jet black eyes. That's all she can see. That motherly instinct is gone and replaced by terror that Sarah Beth doesn't think she has ever felt in her entire life. She could feel every hair on her arms and the back of her neck.
Wait, we do though.
Standing at attention. And Sarah Beth closes the door again to where just her face is able to peek out. And the little girl stops and pleads again. Please, ma'am, we're really scared and alone out here. We have to come inside. Please help us. Then, like on cue, both kids begin to whimper and cry. That's when the fear takes over and Sarah Beth shuts and locks the door. I'll call your mom if you give me the number, she shouts through the door, but I am not letting you in my house. And she can still see them there on the porch, staring at her through the beveled glass window. And part of her wants to run upstairs to her husband, but the bigger part doesn't want to lose track of where they are. And
this would be a great time to call the cops and say, hey, there's some lost kids roaming the streets outside my house. It's pretty late. I'm at this address. Why don't you come get them? Maybe see where they're supposed to be going. I think they're trying to find their way home.
Would freak her out even more to not know where they are. And after what seems like forever, but was probably only a few seconds, Sarah Beth decides to call her neighbor who lives across the street. And as she makes her way to the side table in the family room where her phone is, she glances to the back door. Chloe is nowhere to be found. They later find her in the guest bedroom under the bed. And when Sarah gets her phone and starts looking through for the contact information for her neighbor, the kids step away from the window and begin to walk towards the street. And with her phone in hand, her finger poised to hit the button to call the neighbor, Sarah Beth walks closer to the window to see if she can see where the kids went. And once she's close enough to the glass, she can see out enough to make out people's shapes, but she can't see much detail. Of course, standing that close to the door makes it pretty obvious for anybody outside to see that someone is standing right at the door. But right now, Sarah Beth doesn't really care if these kids know she's watching them.
Does Sarah Beth not have a storm door? Most people have a storm door.
The door, Sarah Beth can see that the kids are standing at the street lamp nearest to her house, staring at her. And only after she hits the button to actually dial her neighbor's number and puts the phone to her ear, do the kids start walking away down the street. And once Sarah Beth sees her neighbor come out and go stand underneath that street lamp, she goes out to meet him, and the kids are nowhere to be found. As she says, she doesn't believe in any of this stuff and had never heard of black-eyed kids before talking to her friend. What she really thinks, what she has to think, is that These kids were just out yanking people's chains on Halloween night. But she will say this for them. They were good. Really good. They scared the crap out of her,
I think,
and her dog.
I think she just primed herself.
For more...
Alright, so... Oh, here it is. This is what happens when you let them in.
Pop quiz. It's 2 a.m. and you wake up to a soft, persistent knocking at your front door. You roll out of bed, rub your eye.
There it is.
The couple in this report live in a rural and secluded area of Vermont. Their names are not given in their account, so we will call them Rose and Paul. It's a snowy winter night, and
all right, we got Rose and Paul. Snowy
view
winter night.
Outside of Rose and Paul's windows looks like a Norman Rockwell painting. It's the middle of the night, and Rose is awakened by a knocking at her front door. And knowing that the snow is making any kind of travel dangerous, her first thought is that there must have been an accident, and somebody's coming to them for help. So she gets up, slips on her robe, goes over to her bedroom window, looks out, and can see that there are tracks coming up from the road into their driveway, but there's no car anywhere.
Black-eyed kids leave footprints. We have it confirmed here. Confirmed right now. Black-eyed kids leave footprints.
The snow is still covering the road. Nobody's driven on it for at least a couple hours, and she can't quite see the front door from her bedroom window, but the motion sensor light is on, and she can see that somebody is standing there. So she rushes to the bed, shakes Paul, and as she's telling him what's going on, the knocking at the front door starts again. And Paul throws back the covers, grabs his robe, slips it on as he and Rose make their way downstairs to the front door. When Paul opens the door, there are 2 children standing in the snow, looking toward the ground, a boy and a girl who can't be more than 8 years old. They're dressed strangely and have odd haircuts. The girl's hair is long and straight, and the boy's haircut is dated and almost looks like a bowl cut. They are not.
That's what they use as an example. I remember bowl cuts in the 90s, but you didn't have pink and purple hair with your bowl cut. Usually you were blonde or brunette. Oh my goodness.
Dressed for winter. And Rose's first thought is that they must be Mennonite children. But as far as she knows, there isn't a large Mennonite community anywhere near them. The children are very unnerving to Rose and Paul. They would not make eye contact. And Paul asks them, "Is everything okay?" And they reply,
"Can we come in?"
Paul looks to Rose with a "what do I do now?" look. And Rose asks the children, "Where are your parents?"
"They'll be here soon,"
is all they said. Against their better judgment, Rose and Paul's parental instincts take over. They bring the children in out of the snowstorm and do what they can to warm them up with hot chocolate and make them comfortable until their parents arrive. And for a couple of kids,
see, they let them in,
that you might expect would be scared, cold, and freaked out from being lost in a snowstorm, they seem to be pretty comfortable sitting in a stranger's living room. And with their eyes still cast to the floor, they just keep repeating in a sing-songy tone,
"Our parents will be here soon. Our parents will be here soon. Our parents will be here soon."
The parents will be here soon. This is what happens when you let them in. The parents are coming now.
Rose starts to notice that of their 4 cats, 3 of them are hiding. Except Pigeon, who's with her in the kitchen as she's making more hot chocolate. Normally, the cats are very curious and friendly, and Rose and Paul have to make sure that they don't slip outside when somebody leaves. But this time, none of them even try.
Depending on what the kids smell like, though. If the kids smell like their dog or horses or something, the cats might be off-put and scared.
To figure out who's there. All of the hair on Pigeon's neck is standing up, and his tail is puffed out as he's staring in the living room. And when Rose bends down to pet him and see what's wrong, he hisses, growls, and backs up until he is hidden underneath the kitchen island. She has never seen him do that before.
Yeah?
Rose makes her way back to the living room and says,
These stories mostly come from Reddit and stuff, I think.
hot chocolate, doing her best to lighten the oppressive air in the room. Her announcement causes both children to look up, revealing their solid black eyes. Rose is horrified, and it takes everything she's got not to drop the mugs and run away. The kids see Rose's reaction and both stand up and say,
"We need to use your bathroom."
Rose's stare follows them as they both get up and go down the hall together to the bathroom. As soon as the children are out of sight, Rose turns to look at Paul, whose pale face and slack jaw tell Rose that he is just as shocked as she is. And they start to discuss what to do next when Paul's nose starts bleeding, something that has never happened to him before. Rose runs to the kitchen to get Paul some tissues.
The parents are here. I think that means the parents are here, right?
When the power goes out. Now, it's not unusual for the power to go out during a Vermont blizzard, but Rose cannot shake the feeling that it has something to do with those two terrifying kids. And as she's hurrying back to Paul, Rose is stopped dead in her tracks by the two kids who are done in the bathroom and are just standing together at the end of the hall, apparently unfazed by the sudden darkness. Rose is petrified with fear as the children just stand there, motionless. And after what feels like an eternity, the boy says,
"Our parents are here."
And they walk to the door, open it up, and walk out, leaving the door wide open. Rose and Paul rush to the door to close it behind them and are taken aback by what they see. And
bye, kids! Thanks for coming! Stifling their nosebleed. Yeah, like, oh, bye! Thanks for coming and giving me a nosebleed.
Their driveway. The parents that the children had referred to are actually two men in black suits driving a black car. The men were
So are Rose and Paul homophobic? Is that the moral of the story? Don't be like Rose and Paul and you'll get a nosebleed if you don't like kids can have two dads.
Very tall, at least 6 feet. And when Paul waved at them, they just stared back, got in the car with the children, and drove off. Rose and Paul are more than relieved to have the black-eyed children out of their house. But the worst is yet to come. In the months that follow, Rose and Paul lose all 4 of their cats. 3 of them just disappearing and are presumably dead, and 1 of them having a hemorrhage and dying right there in the house. And both Rose and Paul continue to have nosebleeds. And not long after the encounter, Paul is diagnosed with an aggressive form of skin cancer. Rose does not go into detail, but says that she is in the worst state of health she's ever.
So black-eyed kids will make you sick. It's correlation and causation and all that. If your cats run away, it was because of the black-eyed kids knocked on your door and you let them in. If your cats disappear.
Ever been in her entire life. She is convinced that both her and her husband's ill health has everything to do with that snowy night that they allowed those black-eyed children into their home. If black-eyed kids are your jam and you need more, click here.
All right. That is probably as much black-eyed kids as I can do for today. There was a few more I wanted to get to, especially this flirting with the black-eyed kid one. We'll have to do that next time we cover this topic because this is like something that's going to come up again and again. It's not Bigfoot, frequent, but it's going to come up. We're going to be revisited by black-eyed children again and again on this channel, like we do haunted dolls and aliens and anything else. So if you're interested in this type of topic, remember to hit the subscribe button. And hit the thumbs up and I hit the thumbs up here too. I'm actually going to subscribe to this channel because she has some other content that actually might be some fun to watch too. If you look on her videos. She's got werewolves and there's the knot deer. We covered that recently too. Bennington Triangle, yeah, Mount Shasta, more black-eyed kids, more knot deer, military stories, the Inner Earth, all kinds of woo. Atlantis, Philadelphia Experiment. Yeah. So if you like, this type of storytelling and stuff, you can subscribe to the channel. I'm subscribing because it's going to cover more stuff that I like. But how about you? Did you enjoy delving into the mysterious world of black-eyed kids? Do you think that black-eyed kids walk among us? Are they aliens? Are they ghosts or evil spirits? Or are they just little goth kids? Just goth kids being goth kids. Freaking people out in parking lots. You tell me down below in the comments. Because I really do want to know. But yeah. Until next time. Be kind. Take care, okay? Alright, live from the Hive, people. Stick around. This is just the first segment of the show. We have more to come. Actually, we have this Super Centurion thing coming up that I'm sort of stoked to talk about. I did put a lot of research into this. So, we will be popping over there. And yeah, you never heard of black-eyed kids, Dr. Tap? Yeah, it's a phenomena. Mostly, I remember it from like the early 2000s and a little bit from the late 90s, but mostly the early 2000s on message boards and stuff. But it depends on your stomping ground. All right, I will see you guys over in the next segment where we get weird with it. Hello, hello, my beauties and bees. Thank you for sticking around with me. We are diving into yet another weird topic. It started simple enough and not all that weird. This just starts off not weird. I will promise you that this will be like, oh, well, that seems reasonable as we move into it. And you'll be like, well, hold on, wait. Oh my gosh, it's kind of going off the rails. But you'll see what I mean in just a moment. On this segment, I like to find people making some pretty weird claims and just kind of rolling with it. It can be religious claims, scientific claims, whatever it is. And sometimes I like to see how deep the rabbit hole goes on these types of claims. And there may be entire communities dedicated to the phenomena. And that does roll over into the topic that we're talking about right now. We're talking about gerontology. Now this isn't just any gerontology, where we're not just talking about, the actual oldest people in the world, but people saying that they've lived 130 plus years. Now, I did discuss this with my Hive. Hold on, I got a message from... Yep. Let me see. Yeah, I was talking to some of my mods in the Discord channel. So the Hive has a Discord. It's just called the Hive. You can come join it if you want. There's links in the link tree and down below, where I, sometimes I'll talk about the upcoming subjects that I'm going to be covering. But I've brought up all these. They call them super centurions, which is anybody claiming to live over 120 years. There are legitimate super centurions. There's no doubt about it. These people walk among us or wheel among us, depending on what kind of shape they're in. But regardless, they exist, right? But, once you get to a certain point, and I don't know where that point is, and we're going to maybe see if we can figure it out today. But once you get to a certain point, it's like, hey, wait a minute, this is silly. This is ridiculous. We're going off the rails. And some of these claims I've got assorted from oldest to youngest are pretty out there. And there's some context to some of this stuff, especially these swamis, which a lot of these people are. Now, a swami, they do claim to be able to have the secrets to, it's really Orientalism from the Western point of view to be like, oh yeah, all these people in the Far East live for hundreds of years because of the secret that we don't know here in the West. It was a popular trope, but the swamis also would consider themselves reincarnated. So a lot of these ages that come up on this list, once you investigate, like this guy right here, Mavarta Babaji, reincarnated that much. Not they don't claim that he lived that long in one lifetime. That's never been anywhere I look. That's never been the claim. It's always that he's had multiple lifetimes. So he shouldn't be on this list. But as we move through this list in the gerontology wiki, we're gonna find out a lot of this stuff has nothing ground in it. But let me tell you where I started off with this stuff, though. I started off with this guy, John Smith, Chief White Wolf of the Chippewa people, in his claim.
John Smith, also known as Giabinadyun once among the Chippewa people, was a native of Minnesota who claimed to have lived to the age of 137 years. His heavily wrinkled face earned him the nickname Wrinkled Meat, and he became well known among the Chippewa before his death in 1922. Despite his impressive age, some have speculated that his facial creases were not caused by old age, but rather by a medical condition. The veracity of his age claim remains a subject of debate, although his birth year is recorded as 1784 on his gravestone in Cass Lake, Minnesota. Regardless of the cause of his appearance, John Smith remains an intriguing figure in Chippewa history, a testament to the longevity and resilience of the native people of Minnesota. His nickname and purported age continue to inspire curiosity and speculation, as well as respect for the rich cultural heritage of the Chippewa people. Thank you for watching. What do you think?
So, the date of John Smith White Wolf's birth is not well documented. Native American people didn't have well documented stories about, you know, they would have seasonal sort of passages of time. Their passages of time weren't the same as ours. They didn't keep track of the year the same way we do, right? But one thing that John Smith did do and did say was that he remembers the Leonids in 1833 and that he was about 7 or 8. So the Leonids were a series of meteor showers, and a lot of well-known people from the 19th century are able to trace their age using this, because there were still, I mean, there still are today, but more so back then, there were still lots of populations within North America even that did not follow our standard Gregorian calendar, and they still lived their own ways. So judging the people's ages was difficult, but this is one way in which we were able to do so, because a lot of these people will remember how old they were when this, or how young they were when the Leonids fell, and that was a huge meteor shower. It just filled the sky, thousands of meteors falling. It's really the first big meteor shower in modern times where they really started to understand these were rocks from space, basically, or this was debris from outside of our atmosphere that was entering our atmosphere to cause this. The event marked several nations of Native American. The Cheyenne established a peace treaty. The Lakota calendar was reset, and many Native American birthdays were calculated in reference to the 1933 Leonid event. Abolitionists, including Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass, as well as slave-owned owners, took note, and others. So this was a huge event. You know, it was an omen to a lot of people that they needed to change their way. The Mormons, actually, they were driven out when this. Here it is, right here. Joseph Smith, founder, the first leader of Mormonism, afterwards noted in his journal in November 1833 his belief that the event was a literal fulfillment of God's word and a harbinger of the imminent second coming of Christ. So, yeah, it was a big deal. Big deal when this happened. Let me see. Ellen G. White thought that the Leonids foretold the end times and the return of Jesus. Yep, lots of people thought it was Jesus coming back. Your eyes and your ears never stop growing. That's true. Let's see here. All right, anyway, so, but his claim isn't that out there, right? 138, 137, 138 years old. Within the realm of possibility, the oldest person alive today is Jean Clement, or not alive today. The oldest person that ever lived was Jean Clement, and she was 122. So 137, like, in optimal condition and in care, yeah, probably. But if he was 7 or 8 when the Leonids happened, then he wasn't 137. He would have been more like 104. Still quite, still quite a accomplishment of age and everything, but not the super centurion that we've come to look for on this segment. So I found this little video on the YouTubes, and it brings us through, average lifespans and whatnot. 114 years is Vern Pizzinato. I'm not going to try to pronounce all these names, but these are living people. 115. Completely reasonable. 115. We know that people can live that long, especially if they've had an easy life, like Clement. There is music, but I'm not playing this. I'm afraid it'll get copyright strike. Okay, so there's Jeanne Clement, oldest verified living person. Living female, but living person too. And yeah, she was a smoker. We start getting into more of the unverified claims. Well, everything from here forward is unverified. 130, which is still within reason. 132 is within reason. I'm not going to challenge these claims, at least not. They're not as worthy of challenge as some of these later claims that are going to come up. Now, as we move forward, you'll notice that they start to spread out the claims a little bit. Right now, everybody's it's going 1 year at a time, moving up to how long these people claim. They skip a year there. Nobody's lived to be 137. Apparently, that is where Mr. Chief White Wolf would have been. It's right there, but he's not on this list. Well, but as we move through these, now some of these people I have pulled up here. Just a second. So, including this guy, 142 is the claim. Living in the mountains of North Kashmir, Uri district, Faraz Mir claims to be the oldest man alive on Earth, born on March 10th, 1872. Faraz has been witness to historical events as they unfold in the subcontinent. Samir Yassir reports. If the certificates are to be believed, Faraz Undin Mir is the world's oldest man alive. Issued by the government of Jammu in Kashmir, the certificate claims that Faraz was born on March 10th, 1872 in a Bijhama village of Uri in northern Kashmir, which makes him more than 140 years old. Contrary to age, Faraz can still walk, but he needs the assistance of his family members. He can talk in a broken voice. His eyesight has faded with time, but he can recognize his family members and the voices of his great-grandchildren. Donning a traditional Kashmir Farran winter garment and a shawl-like cloth that covers the shoulders, the family members surround him every time he comes out on the porch of his house. He has married 5 times and has more than 10 children who live in Kashmir and Pakistan. According to the family members, Faraz, who was the eldest son of Matuli Mir was a small trader of dried fruits who used to supply nuts to traders of Karachi in the 1800s to make a living. After he got married, Faraz was born after 4 years. Matuli, who would often take his son to Pakistan whenever he would visit for trade purposes. Abdul Rashid, Faraz's grandson, told Kashmir Life. So, then they'll have stories like this of their childhood and stuff, which was where Jeanne Clement, where she really got her, where people started to recognize, hey, this woman's the oldest person in the world, was because she had talked about meeting Vincent van Gogh as a teenager. And they're like, no way, that'd make you 100 that'd make you 120. She's like, yeah, I'm 120. So, yeah, but let's see. And that's this guy. $142 is the claim there. 143. Oh, well, I didn't mean to do that. 146. And here's where things start to get, for me, where it's like, probably not. So we get up around 150, I'm thinking that maybe in the future when technology gets there, but I don't know if the environment and conditions are right for a human to live that long currently. There's too many things in the atmosphere that just kill us outright. And I think it's getting worse, not better, as we move forward in time. Does she really like bananas? Let's see. Giotto Amigi from India, who was an actress in American Horror Story, was about 27 when she died. She was thought to be the reincarnation, or the reincarnation of Hanuman, the monkey god of her religion. We know Hanuman here. We've covered Hanuman from a few different angles throughout the years on Cryptic Corner and other segments. And getting, more and more extreme. What is this? What is average man? Average man living 160 in India, which tells me that they're using a different calendar in India to get these dates than what we were using. Which would make sense that it's a different calendar, because I think that's like how we get like the old, what they call the church fathers or biblical characters and things like that, like Methuselah that lived 900 years, or these old kings and old king records where they're obviously using some kind of different measurement, some kind of different calendar to get an extremely old age. All right, here we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Now we're getting up in the 190s. All right, so who do we have after this guy? Okay, so let's see. We covered the Leonides. That's going to come back too. There's our silly list. Okay, so let's start here. The world's oldest man, Zaro Aga, 1774 to 1934. Another popular Kurd in the 18th century in Europe and U.S. was Zaro Aga. Many newspaper and journals wrote a lot about him and his interesting life. Zaro Aga, who believed to have lived 3 centuries, the incredible 160-year-old Kurdish man Zaro, it's changed the name there from Zaro to Zero, I don't know why, whose life was documented by the 1930s specialist, is believed not to be totally unexpected, being the most long-lived Kurd of modern times. Because Zaro Aga is from the ancient mountainous town of Bitlis province in Kurdistan, not far from Caucasus, these mountain areas are known for their record long-aged old men and women. We have always seen their image of yogurt and milk packages in many countries. I don't understand what that means. Many explorers, including Marco Polo, Hornell and Rich, have expressed their admiration of the surprisingly good health and age of the Kurdistans. Zaro Aga came to Constantinople, Istanbul, at the age of 17 and began to work as a hamel, load carrier, and porter for 100 years. He got a son when he was 90 years old. He married 12 times and had 28 children. Among his 28 children, only his 80-year-old daughter survived him. It's no joke to say he lived for 3 centuries. He was discovered by an American archaeology expedition in Constantinople, and he was very well received in the United States. The world's oldest man is on sightseeing with company of 2 American ladies of the world's highest building, the Empire State Building. In the Empire State Building, here he is playing some guitar, boxing, got some ladies up on his lap. And he's picking somebody up, showing how strong he is. Zaro Aga, of high age, lifts the famous caricaturist Ripley Robert. a newspaper advertisement about the world's oldest man, Zaro Aga, is in an American newspaper in 1928. It is believed that Zaro Aga lived 160 years. He was known as a strong carrier. He was known as an extraordinarily strong load carrier. And we have actually footage of this dude, I believe. Yeah. That's him right there. He's got, looks like those same two ladies. I wonder if they were like his concubines. Joyty isn't dead. Okay, I don't know. But yeah, he's living his best life. I don't have this muted. There's just no sound. This is a pre-sound presentation. But he's pretty spry for 160, I'd say. Pretty chipper, and I guess needs help down the stairs, but now, was he 160? I don't think so. I think maybe these films were taken in 1956. And yeah, you know, the comments are turned off because people will fact check this stuff. But yeah, there's more to these videos if you wanted to dig. There's more Zaro Yaga videos available out there if you want to really dig into it. But that's his claim. You got is Ghana's 198-year-old Amadzi, the oldest woman in the world, claim Ghana is home to the oldest woman on Earth, according to Captain Smart, the host of Anu TV Makai show. Verdict: insufficient evidence. Captain Smart's claim of having interviewed the oldest person on Earth cannot be regarded as factual due to the absence of adequate documentation, proof, and scientific test. Which brings us back to this, because we're going to get into this more. It's called the village elder phenomena, right? This is about the typology of extreme longevity myths, and most of them tie into a village elder type of archetype that people want to lean into. They want their village elder to be the village elderist, and this person's a good example of that. But another example is Mama, I'm pronouncing her name probably bad, Esefio, maybe the oldest woman alive at 191, and we saw that she was up on our chart here, 192 listed here, so died in 2016, claimed she was born in 1825, and let's have a look. A 191-year-old woman named Mama Esefio lives in Nigeria, unproven. Photographs reportedly show a 190-year-old woman named Mama Esefio, also spelled Eficio, or Eficio, have been circulating online since they were first published by the website thewhistler.ng on the 6th of January in 2016. We came across the pictures of a woman named Mama Eficio, they keep changing the spelling, Eficio, who is 191 years old, according to a great-great-grandson of the woman, Mr. Avufayan. According to him, the woman, who is about 2 centuries old, lives in Elu in Delta State. While questioning on the veracity of this claim, Mr. Avufayan claimed that she was witnessed or that she witnessed the birth of his grandfather. That's wild. Yeah. If his claims are true, Mama Efisho is most likely Nigeria's oldest woman alive. She's not alive anymore. She died, according to this, in 2016. But the Whistler admits in their article they did not take the photographs themselves, and while the website wrote that they questioned the veracity of Evufayan's claim, the only verification they received concerning Mama Efisho's age was that she had witnessed the birth of his grandfather. It's unclear how her age is determined by this anecdote, or how her age could even be estimated without knowing the age of Efuen, his parents, or his grandparents, which is a lot of the problems with these stories. The grandfather of Mama Efisho, great-great-grandson, would be her grandson. It would be no great feat for Mama Efisho to witness her grandson's birth, and this act would certainly not be proof that she is 191 years old, given that the oldest living person in the world is a mere 116, and the oldest person in recorded history lived to be 122. It's far more likely that the story is a hoax and that Mama Efisho has exceeded the longest human lifespan by an astounding 57%. So yeah, I think it's just a village elder story. I think this next one is too, though. Yep. Harijo Mislen. And check this out, 110 years old, right? And then on this thing, they're going to claim, here, he's right there. They just flat out lie. They just lie. But Harjo, 201. No. Harjo was 110. Like, famously 110. Oy. Moving on. What do we got now? Oh, we're down to Lin Xing Yuan, which is interesting, but let me see, did I miss anybody along the way? Okay, we have, not in French, turn it to English for me. I'm an American. I don't speak any other language. We got another Swami. Very little is known with certainty about the life of the most venerable LP Suweng. Indeed, he never wanted to reveal his biography, and even his date of birth is a mystery. How convenient. His date of birth is a mystery, but apparently he smoked. Already looking like the photo from, okay. Venerable LP Suweng appears to have entered Thailand around 1920 to 1925 and have been recognized Ajahn from that time on. He then took vows and went into Tudong retreat in the jungle for many years. A photo from around 1930 shows him already looking like a man in his a man of about 70. Where? I didn't see any pictures from back then. Lu Sing is a monk in the 80s. Yeah, in the 80s, okay, I believe that. From time to time, the most venerable LP Suweng would ask one of his disciples to drive him to the next town, and once he would go to the marketplace and ask passers-by to write their wishes or their names on a stick. Name of sick people on paper. It's not the stick people. It's like, what? Then these papers would be piled up on the ground, and a cotton sai-sin cord would be tied to them, in the end given to LP Suweng. The most venerable would then recite a long prayer and engage in a meditative exercise which would cause the pile of papers to spontaneously combust. So, once you unlock the longevity perk, then you start to unlock other things like pyromancy, where you can make things burst into flames. Truly incredible detail is that the cotton thread did not catch fire. So these swamis and stuff like their legends. Let's see, where's it going to talk about his longevity though? The most vulnerable. I keep saying vulnerable. Venerable. He's just so little. He looks vulnerable. LP Suwang toward the end of his life in the 90s, living as a humble peasant and helping his neighbors in rice cultivation despite his great age of 190 years old. The most venerable LP Suwang in front of his house a few years before his death. Where's the old pictures though? You said there was pictures of him and from the 30s when he was already old. I want to see this Benjamin Button shit. Where's it at? Show me. See, he looks kind of thicker there. And that's in the 90s. He doesn't even, to me, he doesn't look like a man in his 70s there. He looks like a man in his 50s, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I'm a woman in her 40s. So, do I look like a woman in her 40s? But, then we got old Devra Baba of Viridin. Now, this is not actually anything that we're going to be able to, like, understand. But there's some footage of the dude. So we're going to look at that.
Минут 15 молчал святой, время от времени зыркая на нас своим единственно видящим, каким-то бездонно-зеленым глазом.
And this guy claims to be 250.
Последнего-то он благословил год назад, и по заказу никогда этого не делает.
But
уж собрались уходить. Да видно, все же чем-то расположили себя старца. Сейчас вот Баба будет благословлять меня, а я попробую передать вам,
Baba
испытывать.
Viridvana.
Обычно делают какой-нибудь...
But this is another situation where you're dealing with a Swami who might be talking about reincarnation, right? Maybe that's the thread you missed. Let's see, Viridvana. Was that on this list or was it on this list? I think it was off this list. This list straight up sucks, and we'll get into that even more here in a minute. I think we're done with you, and we're done with you. This is my favorite.
The pursuit
right here.
of extreme longevity has been ingrained in our human story through all of history. Herodotus wrote of the fabled Fountain of Youth in the 5th century BC, and this tale has continued to fascinate the imagination ever since. In 1513, the Spanish explorer Ponce...
Now let me catch up on the chat before I move into the next person. People are this stupid, though. My mother certainly is gullible enough to believe some shit like this. 256 years old. Yeah, I know, right? I'm glad our lifespans don't go much past 100. Titan did provide some information that for me that shows that in a genetically optimal situation, I do believe a human could live to be about 150, could approach 150. I don't think they go past that ever, not without some sort of technological interference.
De Leon set off on a storied quest to locate the fountain.
Didn't even get caught up. None of those photos are from the 30s, right? None of them. They're all colored. Maybe the 60s and 70s at the earliest, right? None of those photos, just nothing about them said 30s to me. I heard about one lady in France who's supposed to have lived 120 years old. Don't know if that's true or just, Jean Clement. We're gonna bring her up in a little bit. She was on the list, but she actually, it's a realistic claim. Hindus always lie like this about age of gurus and shit. It's moronic. They can't levitate and they aren't 200 years old. But they can start fires with their brain powers, though.
It was located in Florida. Even now, Hindus believe extreme longevity is possible through the dedication to a purely spiritual life. with many documented cases of yogis living well beyond the typical human lifespan. Today, futurists like Aubrey de Grey believe technological medical advances could lead to lifespans of up to 1,000 years. Others, like Ray Kurzweil, imagine a world where the replacement of failing body parts could essentially make us immortal.
Right, but those are with technological assistance. I'm talking with the hardware and software you're born with, and only having the maintenance done on it, not artificially, storing your intelligence or something like that. I think there's going to be a limit. I think it's going to be a limit, and based on the stuff that Titan shared with me, I am feeling like it's probably going to be right around the 150 mark, or somewhere between 125 and 150 is going to be our expiration date.
But for one man, the Fountain of Youth was found in a simple philosophy towards life and a collection of herbs found high in the mountains of China.
Here we go,
Li
256.
Qingyan died in May of 1933. Li claimed to have been born in 1736, which would have made him a staggering 197 years
And
old.
y'all, this is his fingernails right here. Is that spiraling thing? That's his freaking fingernails, y'all.
And while evidence shows that Li would often lie about his age, it appears his lies were intended to actually make him seem younger than he was. In 1933, the New York Times published an article which referenced imperial Chinese government records from 1827, confirming Li was 150 years old at that time. Another notice from the same source congratulated Li on his 200th birthday in 1877, making him 256 years old when he passed away of natural causes.
Now, I gotta wonder what calendar these were based on.
Numerous Chinese publications confirmed these reports.
Seems like he was trying to sell that book.
Of his age, as well as stateside articles in Time and the Pittsburgh Press. Li spent the early part of his life studying herbalism and qigong in the mountains. At the tender age of 72, he began a new career as a military advisor in the martial arts. He was reported to have had 24 wives and 200 descendants, spanning 11 generations at the time of his death.
Going for the Great Khan kind of legacy there.
Other sources claimed a mere 14 wives. One surviving photograph of Li was taken in 1927 by Army General Yang Sen.
Are you talking native atheists out here with the ship of oh my god, the ship of Theseus? Yeah, good grief, boom boom, come out of my brain already. The ship of Theseus for the human body. Yeah, like I'm not the same organism that I was 40 years ago, right? I've replaced all my cells since then.
He would later publish a report called The Factual Account of the 250-Year-Old Good Luck Man, in which Yang Sen wrote, "He has good eyesight and a brisk stride. Li stands 7 feet tall, has very long fingernails, and a ruddy complexion." While Li's story has been told many times, his unusually tall height is often underrepresented. At 7 feet tall, Li was exceptional, even by today's standards.
Yeah, I mean, in China, during the 16th to the 19th century, the early 20th century,
especially large for 17th century China. The average height today for a Chinese man is 5'6", and it is believed that the average in the 17th century would have been closer to 5'2". Studies examining the link between height and longevity have overwhelmingly found that taller men tend to live shorter lives, which makes Li's story even more exceptional.
So I think that Li was like Ra's al Ghul in the Nolan Batman movies, that he wasn't actually immortal, that somebody just took up the title. Someone took up the mantle of Li and played the character, and one of the people that took it up was really tall and did some photo shoots. That's what I think. Just my thoughts.
When asked the secret to his longevity, Li said, "Retain a calm heart, sit like a turtle, walk swiftly like a pigeon, and sleep like a dog."
See, That's the thing. I think that he wrote this like biography, right? And I think this was all part of the selling point.
Embracing a low-stress lifestyle has obvious and wide-ranging effects on health and longevity. But could that be enough to live over 250 years?
So be rich and stress-free is the idea. Be worry-free and stress-free. So I'm going to die at like 22.
Of course, a healthy diet would play a part as well. Early in his life, Lee began a diet consisting almost entirely of goji berries, lingzi, ginseng, and other herbs, including an unnamed herb he discovered in the Yunnan mountains, which would prevent the
secret mountain herbs. That's how you do it. You got to climb up them secret mountains and get that secret herb. Is it the same one that gets rid of lycanthropy, though, that cures you from being a werewolf? The moonflower. Yeah, because even a man who's pure of heart and says his prayers at night can become a wolf when the moonflower blossoms and the moon is full and bright.
The ravages of old age. Living in a remote mountainous area may have been an important factor as well. Again, this would contribute to a peaceful, low-stress lifestyle. And high-altitude living has been directly linked to a decreased risk of heart disease.
Low-stress lifestyle. Like a Galapagos tortoise. I'm here for it. Give me that low-stress lifestyle.
This combination of fortuitous circumstances might be enough to provide a life over 100 years, and possibly a decade or two more. Jean-Louis Calment, who claims the longest verified lifespan on record, lived to be 122. The secret to her longevity? Regular bicycle rides and eating over 2 pounds of chocolate a week. But is it physically possible for a human body?
Chocolate is the key. Is that the herb? Is that the secret herb? Did some ancient Chinese mariner sail to the New World and discover chocolate and bring it back to China, and it made people live and planted it up on a high mountain? Ooh, I'm writing a story. Guys. Someone get a pen. And take this down. And then they planted it on top of the secret mountain, and it grew, and it made people live for a long time because chocolate grown on Chinese mountains does that? I don't know.
To last 250 years? The vast majority of biologists and gerontologists would say no. And yet throughout the East, similar tales of extremely long lives are commonplace, although few are as well documented as the case of Li Qingyan.
It's poorly documented. All you have are congratulations letters on his birthday sent to him from the government because his death was never reported and someone else took up the name. So just keep it going. It's a legacy character. Legacy role. Yeah, Dread Pirate Roberts. Exactly, D. It's Dread Pirate Roberts.
One of Lee's disciples recounted a tale of an even more ancient individual. On one of his frequent expeditions into the remote mountains, Lee, 135 years old at the time, stumbled upon a hermit who claimed to be over 500 years old. The elder man, when pressed to reveal his secrets, instructed Lee in a series of Qigong techniques, including breathing exercises, coordinated movements, and dietary suggestions. Lee began performing these exercises with sincerity and faith every day. Indian history is full of extreme longevity tales. Devraja Baba was an Indian monk who lived beside the Yamuna River. While he never made claims of his own age, reliable sources, including Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first president of independent India, claimed Baba lived to be 250 years old. Tales of yogis regularly living past their 150th year are common, as in the case of Trilanga Swami, who is reported to live to 280, and Mahavatar Babaji, who according to the Guru Yogananda, was over 500 years old in 1920.
But
in
Baba,
2017,
he was reincarnated, though. You leave that part out. Why?
An Indonesian man known as Ba Gato died at the age of 142.
And again, I'm not saying I believe in reincarnation. Don't get it twisted. I'm just saying that's his claim. His claim isn't that he lived 200 some years or 500 years in that body.
Official Indonesian birth records verified his age. Skeptical critics have debated the accuracy of these national records. Hundreds of other stories from the Far East contain similar claims of extreme longevity. But Lee's case is especially compelling due to the government documentation and multiple reports in credible publications. While some scientists are quick to point out that the human body cannot accomplish such longevity, our physiology has been known to produce miraculous results under the power of the mind and spirit. As with the Tibetan monks who can regulate
the power of the mind and spirit, of course, you got to remember that. And the power of the spirit, an imaginary force that you can do whatever it has whatever quality that you need it to. Spirit is such BS. Spirit is like the unobtainium of our world, right? It's this imaginary substance that gives you the power to do all this bullshit that you can't really do because spirit is not a thing. You got your own will, your own drive, the chemical signals in your brain telling you how much drive you have.
Own body temperature during meditation, or Qigong practitioners who have made large tumors disappear with the mere waving of their hands.
Nobody has ever made a tumor disappear with the waving of their hands. Why would you say such a thing? Why would you say such? I'm kind of wanting to flag this video at this point.
Other scientists, like Aubrey de Grey, Chief Science Officer at the SENS Research Foundation, believe that the technology to produce extreme longevity already exists, and it is primarily our cognitive bias towards the inevitability of aging that keeps us from achieving longer lifespans. De Grey's Research Foundation has published numerous papers showing exciting theoretical possibilities for repairing many of the fundamental cellular breakdowns that cause aging. Human trials are set to begin in 2021, which De Grey hopes will motivate a
Well, it's 2024 now, so you better come up with some answers.
change of thinking about how we age. De Grey cites the expectation that aging is necessary as the biggest hurdle in his work. As he has said, the cultural attitudes towards all of this are going to have to be completely turned upside down.
Well, you have to come to terms with the fact that you're going to age in the current model that we live under, right? So, yeah, if you invent some crazy technology that changes that, then we'll start turning things upside down. But until then, people should expect to grow old and die. It's just part of the human experience at this point. More power to you on your research, but it's not a cultural thing. It's just the reality that we live in, that people grow old and die, that your body will deteriorate over time, that, you know, once you stop growing, you start dying.
Is it possible that our thoughts and beliefs play the most critical role in the aging process? Perhaps the true secret to Li Qingyan's longevity was not merely his diet, lifestyle, or Qigong exercises. Perhaps the real power came from his belief that they would work.
This belief that he could trick people into believing he was 256 years old, I think, maybe. But sometimes you'll have stuff like this, and this shows up on this list here. And there's, yeah, some of the people we just talked about. Tralanga, Devara Baba. I picked that video because it had all these people. And then we talked about LP Suing. This one gives his age at 444, so even more. Oh, yes. Abdul Aziz Al Hafid. I don't know who the hell that is. That's not a real person. This picture is of Abdul Aziz bin Matuab Al Rashid, who died very young at the age of 35 or 36. So I don't know where the hell this is coming from, 615. Or I looked up this guy. I couldn't find anything about it. I found a picture and tracked down who that is. But yeah, it just goes to show that most of this is bullshit. Now, yeah, I'll go ahead and close that. Now, sometimes these results are from typos, right? So, like this one saying 1231 to 1913. I really do believe that this is supposed to be 1831 to 1913, which would be reasonable. Yeah, Antony was a man who was born in Warsaw, Poland, and he could have lived 682 years, but he could have only lived 82 or 68 years. It could be It could just be a mistake in his grave. Yeah, you think so? But this one, Kirk Campbell, 1601 to 1859, died supposedly at the age of 258 years old. Born in Scotland in 1601, Kirk Campbell lived in his life in Scotland. He died in 1859 and claimed the age of 258. Oh yeah, did he? Did he? What country was it again? Oh, Las Vegas. He's from the country of Las Vegas. Your source? Oh, it's this list. This list? In this list, you know what this list sources is their source? You know what they source is their source? They source this article. It's self-citations on longevitymythfandom.com, apparently. Now, of course, if the being from Las Vegas isn't a red flag. Now, let's see. More about Swami Trilong. I don't know if I need to cover more of that or not. We have pretty good idea what's going on with the different yogis. Now, this one's funny because this woman is claimed to be 330 years old in the comments, and she makes it on the list. But when you, on this list, but when you look it up, it's because they messed up the math, and she's actually only 100. If you read the description and translate it, and then read the comments and see the translations, they even laugh about the fact that they're saying that she's 330 in the video description. But people, 5K people at least, love this. It's been viewed by 1 million people at this point. But no. And one of the craziest ones I've seen is this Kolstein Veglin, an insane man, it says, who gave his name as Kolstein Veglin, was yesterday arrested in Newark, New Jersey, and will be taken today to the insane asylum. He claims to be 615 years of age and to have 6 wives, all living. He is a resident of number 21 William Street and is said that he is worth considerable property. Published in 1876 in the New York Times. Obviously, it's the New York Times. It must be true, right? No, any person can claim to be this. But this is the thing. This is the veracity of the citation. They say that they think this man is unwell. I mean, at the time, it would have been, they used the term insane. But yeah, obviously he's going through some kind of trauma or issue, but they'll just lean right into it. And then, let's see. Okay, we got that one.
Billy Fonda Siddha Sayadaw Kovida was a Burmese man longevity claimant who claims to be 1052/1112 years old, making this longevity myth one of the most extreme modern claims known.
This homie's got some big old cojones thinking that he can trick people into believing he's over 1,000 years old. This guy right here, he's a real dude.
Claimed to have been born in the year 908 in Maksobo, Myanmar. He became a Buddhist monk at the Newford Monastery, and in 1027 he became an iron wizard for the cheating of his master Arya Siddha Ashin Upagod, alive during the 11th century. He says that...
So, what you can do when you get old is, if you're a good historian, you can build a fake past for yourself.
He went through a fire transformation ceremony to achieve his immortality. Kovida claims also that he is able to do alchemical transformation, which is able to achieve certain levels of enlightenment. There are also rumors that his supporters also live hundreds of years old. Kovida is known as the legendary monk in Myanmar, who often accompanied LP Seng in parade all over Southeast Asia. Some people think that he is a disciple of LP Phiruk Aundeng, and some people think that he is a member of the LP Phiruk Aundeng Seng.
I like how some people think. Many people are saying this. Many good people, many smart people are saying this.
The Burmese military imprisoned him for 7 days in order to persecute him. They did not give him any food or water, and even set fire to him, but they had no effect on him. all the methods they tried.
He's fireproof. These swamis, they claim to be like super, like powerful. These monks, like they can do all kinds of wild, fireproof, bulletproof, walk on glass.
Very powerless to him. The Burmese military could only release him in desperation, and never harassed him again. There are many records about him in the development history of Burmese Buddhism. He has supervised the creation of some amulets for his own standing. A source from 2007 says that he was actually born in 968, which would make him 1039 years old at the time, still one of most extreme modern claims known. Vukovina was last confirmed alive.
And we didn't like have a huge celebration for this dude's 1000th birthday. The dude lived over 1,000 years and nobody said anything until he was 1,039 or 1,112, 1,052.
Myanmar on September 30th, 2020, at claimed age of 1052, 11-12 years.
As far as we know, dude's still kicking. As far as we know, but you know, I don't think he's actually that old. Anyway, that was my delve into the extreme end of the Super-Centurions. I believe that people could live over 130. Yes, I do. I do believe that we're going to see that in my lifetime. People officially surpass the 130 mark. I believe that. 140, not within my lifetime. As our healthcare systems improve and we're able to maintain our bodies in a better stage through medical intervention, I believe that longevity could surpass 140. That's probably about where I'm going to draw the line without technological interventions that I can't account for with today's technology. But yeah, in the future, yeah, maybe we'll be able to store ourselves in computers forever, or live on as robots, or whatever. I don't know, but through Buddhist meditation, or Tibetan monk shenanigans, or Myanmar monk shenanigans, or any of this silly stuff. No, I don't think so. That's just not my vibes, not vibes I pick up on. I don't think that there's ever been anybody that lives that long. If you think so, if you have somebody who has a well-documented history that I missed or overlooked that lived over 130 years, and I didn't give them enough spotlight to say, hey, this has veracity. Yeah, let me know. Drop it down below. I'll check it out. But please remember to be kind and take care, and we'll see you next time. All right, thank you so much. For sticking with me. I got people talking Time Lords and stuff. Time Lord Miami. I'm just going to start telling people I'm 900 years old. Yeah, you can just say it. I read an article that said the first 150-year-old has already been born. That might be true. With the way our healthcare systems keeps improving. I don't know what country they're going to be in. If I had to speculate, I would say that they're probably maybe in Denmark. That'd be my guess. Yeah. All right, so we got one more section of the show. We got Breeze Bestiary, where I'm going to show you a little ass. So stick around for that, and yeah. I'll be back momentarily.
Didn't God lie the first time he talked to people? Wasn't the first thing he said to people was a lie? Like, you eat of this tree, you're gonna die this very day, and then they did.
Oh, let me guess. Satan was the one that told the truth, right?
Of course. Good, you're familiar with the story, Jill. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Luciferian narrative. Yeah, very familiar.
Can God do something logically impossible?
Helen Blavatsky is where that concept came from.
Helen
Although
Blavatsky.
she didn't invent it, but
I love Helen.
Nothing
I
more
like
under the
it anyway.
sun.
It's a fun argument.
Satan is Heaven Blavatsky, and
Have you read
the
Helen
rest of
Blavatsky?
the
Have you read Helen?
Theosophical Society.
Yeah, have you read Helen Blavatsky? I've read Helen Blavatsky.
Yeah, she's a witch.
So she's a witch.
I don't know about that.
You believe in witches, Jill?
That's where that comes from.
Bree, Jill
course,
did tell me
atheist.
earlier that he does believe, and I'm not no shade, but he does believe that Satan can or evil demonic spirits can talk through animals earlier in the stream.
Oh hell yeah, Jill! Talk about that. Why are we wasting our time with this stupid?
Yes.
Stuff when we could be talking about talking animals. I want to hear more about that.
If she's
Jill.
single and
you got
she
time?
has 3 cats, they're probably demonic friends. Ichabus, Sycabus, and probably Baal. That she, communicates with at night. Cats are very
I
highly
have questions about
susceptible.
communicating with the cats, and were they all cats?
Cats are very susceptible to the demonic realm. Yes.
Okay, so are the cats when she communicates with the cats? Are the cats? And maybe you don't know, and tell me if you don't.
She's communicating with demons. Cats
Are
don't
the
have
cats vocal cords?
Cats don't have vocal
sound?
cords. She's communicating with demons.
Cats do have vocal.
Wait,
Sir!
Bree, not Bree. I'm sorry. Cat. Wait, just 1 second, Bree.
Okay,
in the
cats
middle of
do
her
have vocal
conversation.
cords. We're gonna establish that right now. They do have vocal cords that allow them to make verbal sounds.
Oh, okay. So you mean vocal cords in that sense? Okay.
Vocal cords in the sense of vocal cords that are a biological part of an animal's body. Yeah. So yes. Are the cats actually producing the sound with their vocal cords, or is there like some etheric voice vibrating the sound waves and penetrating her ears?
Penetrating her ear.
Or are the cats communicating with her? How does she communicate with her familiars? Are they communicating psychically? Like brain waves passing back and forth? Tell me about it, Joe.
Yeah,
we believe in
I'm curious. I'm with Bree on this.
Mind communication. I already answered this with you.
I know, but still,
I wasn't here, baby. Just tell me about it.
Yeah, we believe that just like Satan communicates, even though he doesn't have vocal cords either, not not human.
So let me talk to Jill.
So
for
we
a
believe
minute.
that, yeah, we don't believe that these are just vibrations on some string or chord.
Like not they're more. It's more than an audible vibration.
We
like a
believe that
spiritual
humans, the
vibration that you
distance
could
between
hear.
us and a meow is the distance of infinity. But you can call them vocal cords if you like.
Hebrew Israelite.
Just like you call fins on some creature hands. So you can call them whatever you like. Women, you can call them whatever you want to call them nowadays. So I understand it. But we believe that there was mind-to-mind communication. When the Bible says that the snake talked, we don't necessarily mean that the snake vocalized, the human language. But these are spiritual beings that are speaking through mind-to-mind communication.
Mind-to-mind. There we go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for to find. That's what I was asking about. So it's mind-to-mind communication. So we're talking about a psychic link between like Eve and the serpent in the garden, or what was it? The donkeys that spoke to who the donkey talked to, Jill?
The donkey may have actually spoke.
You think the donkey spoke?
The donkey may have actually spoke. I don't think that was a
Donkeys do have a
metaphor.
lot of wild vocalizations that they can make. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think a spirit was in the donkey?
No, I think that the God enabled the donkey to talk in that instance.
So
it's a rare, non-normative event.
So
It's either
there was a
Balaam or
literal
Balaam.
miracle that- where God actually God himself interfered with the nature of reality.
Yeah, God can interfere with nature. He can control the weather also.
Oh goodness! Fill in a little bit more about the familiar thing, and then I'll let you guys have at this conversation. I just want to understand because the familiars are a lot different than the creatures of the snake, the serpent, and the Bible, and all that kind of stuff. Because they're things that happened allegedly in historical records, right? There's court cases where people talked about familiar cats and toads and things speaking with the devil's tongue to witches and whatnot. So, Jill, am I understanding that you think that this was like a real phenomena and not some sort of a mass hysteria?
Schizophrenia. It still is today. It still is an issue today. That's why I would stay away from single women with cats.
Makes sense.
Especially if they're over 18.
So, do you think that people today have familiar animals that they speak psychically to that guide them to do the work of the devil or the work of demons? And the evidence for this exists. Is it specifically in the Bible, or do you actually look into the old witch hunting doctrine and go off of what that stuff says as well? So, do you just base your belief that that people have magical talking animals on the Bible, or do you base it on some sort of extensive doctrine?
And Jill,
based on the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That demonstrates itself to be reliable,
Where
historical,
are there
evidential.
Okay, where are there animal familiars in the Bible? What verses are we looking at?
What are the animal? Say that again.
What are the animal familiars mentioned in the Bible?
What are the animal familiars
mentioned in the Bible?
I'm not sure what you mean by familiars.
The animal familiars for the witches that you're talking about, the witches that have animal familiars.
I was saying familiar spirits. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I don't think they're mentioned in the Bible. I think you're making that up or adding that in yourself.
No, I don't think. No, that's not a biblical.
It's extra biblical, right?
Teaching.
Good job, Jill.
No.
It's extra biblical. Oh, this is hilarious.
The animals that were in Scripture that were said to be possessed by demons were pigs. That's the only example we really have.
And which witches were they familiars to?
0.
What do you mean?
So this whole conversation you've been talking about witches having cats as familiars, right? That's been the topic.
Yeah, that's not. I'm not saying that's a biblical teaching. I never said that.
Yeah, I know some women with familiar pussies. I'm sorry.
So,
just to clarify,
Christians have superstitions that aren't necessarily.
Hold on. You believe in magical talking cats outside of the Bible? You just believe in that as an extra? Extra
Christians have superstitions also that aren't found in Scripture. Thank you.
Okay, just that's what I was wanting to clarify.
Also,
so you just believe in general magical stuff like that, huh? But
yeah, we believe in spirits, we believe in demons, but we don't necessarily have to see in Scripture familiar cat spirits to believe.
Disclaimer:
that spirits
not
can
all
dwell in.
Christians believe these things.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. It's in the night
He makes a whiskey drink, he makes a vodka drink, he makes a lager drink, he makes a cider drink. He sings songs that remind him of the good times, sings songs that remind him of the better times.
Oh, Donny boy, Donny boy, Donny boy. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
Hello, and welcome to Breeze Bestiary. It's the end of the show where I just look at animals and talk about them and how awesome they are, and their ecology or life history, their biology, whatever tickles my fancy. Their domestication is always a popular topic that I like to cover, because domestication is taking the tools of evolution and basically sculpting your own creature from the gene pool that's available. Really neat stuff. And that's exactly what we're going to look at today, is something that was domesticated in such a fashion. So, I don't know how you guys feel about tiny donkeys, but I melt when it comes to tiny donkeys. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to melt you here. Cute baby donkey compilation. I'm just going to let this play while I talk to you guys about little miniature donkeys. I don't know how. Yeah, look at that. All right, so donkeys differ from horses in shape. I'm gonna mute this. Donkeys differ from horses in shape, and they are characterized by their large heads, long ears, and cowl-like tails. They have an erect mane and lack the forelock bangs and prominent withers, the high part on the back of a horse's neck. The hair ranges from flat to curly with long and shaggy and is textured from smooth to wiry. The hair coat is shed out much later in the summer than that of horses and serves to protect the donkey from the weather and flies. Donkeys' eyes are at the sides of their heads, giving them a wide field of vision. They have both monocular and binocular vision, which allows them to see two set fields of vision at once, or to focus on the same thing with both eyes at the same time. There is a blind spot directly in front of the donkey, and one directly behind. Their hearing is acute, and their ears can move independently to locate the source of general direction of a sound. A donkey's long ears have excellent blood supply, which is a desert adaptation for cooling the body. There is not much known about donkeys' sense of smell. However, it is generally agreed that it is somewhat well developed. Donkeys use their sense of smell to determine if something is life-threatening or friendly, to locate food, and to identify each other, as well as to identify humans. They have a well-developed sense of touch. Consequently, touch is the donkey's most important sense for responding to cues of their handlers. The most sensitive area is around the eyes, ears, and nose. Other sensitive areas of touch are the withers, ribs, flanks, and legs. Size. Unlike other miniature breeds, such as toy poodles, the miniature donkey is not a bred-down version of a large donkey. Their small size is natural. Miniature donkeys are not more than 36 inches or 91 centimeters tall, measured from the highest point of their withers to the ground. Miniatures weigh about 200 to 450 pounds. That's 91 to 204 kilograms. For comparison, standard donkeys range from 36 to 48 inches, 92 to 123 centimeters tall, and weigh 400 to 500 pounds, 181 to 227 kilograms. Native habitats. Miniature donkeys are native to the Mediterranean islands of Sicily and Sardinia, and were first imported into the United States in 1929 by Robert Greene. He bought 6 genets and 1 jack, and of those 3 genets and the jack survived to produce 5 miniature donkeys born in America. The current U.S. population is estimated to be from 10,000 to 20,000. Today, imports of miniature donkeys are difficult as they are reported to be near extinction in their native area. Miniature donkeys are very popular as companion animals and for show. Lifespan. The lifespan, with a lifelong proper care, a donkey can live into their 30s with an average lifespan of being 33. Genets can produce foals into their early 20s. The average lifespan of a wild donkey is 20 to 30 years. So, yeah, they live pretty full lives out in the wild too, sounds like. Donkeys communicate by brain, a sound also known as a hee-haw. Each donkey has its own style of brain, which can change from barely being audible to a thunderous bray. Food and eating. Donkeys are grazing herbivores with large, flat-surface teeth adapted for tearing and chewing plant matter. Like many other grazing animals, they grasp the plant first with their muscular lips, pull it into their mouth, and then tear it off with their teeth. Donkeys do not ruminate like cattle, but use hindgut fermentation to digest their food, just like apes. Donkeys are considered easy keepers, meaning they utilize their feed very efficiently and can survive on good quality hay alone. Because of this, owners must be careful that they don't overfeed their donkeys. Fat donkeys develop a crest or fat roll on their neck that will be there for life once it develops. Miniature donkeys require good, high-quality hay and fresh, clean water. Of course they do. All these are rules just for all animals here. The primary food is grass, of course, and that's most ungulates. Oh, no, that's not true. A lot of ungulates are browsers and stuff. Scratch that. I forget I ever said that. Scratch it from the list. Most equids is what I meant to say. Most equids are grazers, which eat grass. Well, we have to start the video over because it wasn't finished. It's so cute and laying in there wagging its tail, though. Can't stand it. Because donkeys are prone to weight gain, their feed should be mostly closely monitored. The major attraction of miniature donkeys for humans is their docile personality. They form a close attachment to their owners and to other donkeys. Donkeys are herd animals and do not respond well to isolation. Because of their laid-back personalities, they make wonderful pets and companions for children, people with disabilities, and elderly people. Donkeys are very observant and cautious animals. They will refuse to do anything that appears threatening. This behavior has earned the donkey the reputation for being stubborn. When a donkey is startled by something, it usually will not run blindly in fear. Its natural instinct is to freeze or run a few steps and then look to see what the threat was. Domestic donkeys interact well with other livestock animals such as horses, cows, goats, sheep, and alpacas. Donkeys are used as companions for weaned foals and for nervous, injured, or recovering animals. So, yeah, miniature donkeys are awesome. I wish I could have a miniature donkey, but I don't know how to take care of a donkey, and it's probably a lot more work that I would want to have to put in for a pet. But holy crap, look at these guys. Look at the little bowl cut with the bangs. Oh, bowl cuts are the theme for today, it seems. Look how cute that little guy is. That one too. You're adorable. Yes. I think that's the adult. Now, donkeys have that cross on their back that Christians say is because Jesus rode a donkey. Did you know that? They actually call that archaic marking. Some species of horse still have that too, of ancient horse, like the Perdwoski horse will have markings on its back like that, but they're more blended. I love the baby so much. Do you run and jump and kick? Do you run and jump and kick? Do you? Look at the white bangs. It's got white bangs. I'm not even joking. Shoot me now. Just shoot me now. It's got white bangs. So I think that's the same one, yeah. And I think it's still a baby though, or still a foal, because it looks like it's like super soft, whereas the adults have sort of a fur like that, pelt like that. What do you call a horse's fur? A pelt? Is it a pelt? Yeah, it's looking for something to nurse on. It looks like that must be a mama. Actually, it doesn't look like she's got anything for you to nurse from. You're just going to have to eat grass like a donkey. Sorry. I love how this little tail flex. Oh my god, I want to die. Oh. You're too cute. Stop it. Why are you so cute? It's ridiculous. There's no reason for an animal to be this adorable. It's just to to make me want to pet it. That's all it exists for, is for me to want to boop it and pet it. If I can go someplace where there's a baby donkey, I'm going to die, literally. The adult donkeys are cute too, but the babies melt me. No Mexican food. Oh no, I love Mexican food. But yeah, we're gonna finish that up there. So, in my black-eyed kids wardrobe, let me do my Kubrick smile again. All right, spooky. It's almost spooky season. Just a couple more days, and it'll be October. I can feel it. I got the air conditioner turned off and all the windows open. All right, so Breeze Bestiary, thank you so much for sticking around. Please remember to be kind, take care, and I'm glad you stuck around for the little ass that looks so cute. All right, live from the Hive. 1 second, I need to take a drink. How you doing? How we doing, Hive? Just wanted to let's get out of Breeze Bestiary background and go into, there we go. Just wanted to kind of update people on some things. I'm going through some big life shifts right now, and I will be moving in November to El Paso, Texas. So I'm moving to the desert where I can collect bugs and run around like a wild animal. Spiders and scorpions and snakes and frogs and lizards and toads, and I'm so excited about that. So that's in my future. That's what's happening. I will keep you posted on how things are going. So there may be a period of time where Live from the Hive is presented to you as some kind of different format for some episodes, or maybe depending on how things go, a moving episode, or there may be some episodes on my phone from like parks and stuff like that. So, yeah. I know, and people keep telling me, Texas, why are you moving to Texas? It's temporary. It's not permanent. Moving in with some people. Moving in with Dr. Ben and our friend BB. So we found a nice little place, and I'm gonna see about hitting the reset button on some of my bullshit in a new place. But again, it's not a permanent location, but we will be able to see more wildlife, I think, in Texas than we see here in West Texas. More bugs and stuff, and I feel like having some people to go hiking with will get me out into the wilderness, taking those bug videos that I used to do at the beginning when I started this channel. I'd like to get back into that, just hike around and overturn rocks and find out what's living underneath. I really want to share that with you guys. So hopefully that's coming up in the future, but we shall see. Regardless, about my son is 20 years old. And he is taking over this lease as the primary tenant this month, in October. And then, and I'm going to put myself on the lease as the roommate. And then, then when I move out, he just swaps me over for his bandmate, that's moving in, and they should have things covered from there. But we'll see what happens. El Paso is just a stop off on the road to Austin, is it? How far is it? Austin's in East Texas, isn't it? Yeah, let me see here. Texas is huge. I was looking at that. I was like, oh, maybe I'll be by. Oh, I guess Austin's closer than like I know people in the Dallas, Fort Worth area. But yeah, Austin's not far. Yeah. And I'm planning on taking the road trip down. I'm planning on stopping at the Prairie Dog Village in Lubbock. That's like one of my goals in life is to go there. But yeah, it is quite a distance from El Paso though to Austin. But the U.S. is huge. Driving across Texas is a third of the way across the U.S. You know. But yeah, from El Paso. Not El Paso, Illinois. I didn't even know there was an El Paso, Illinois. Yeah, it's about 8 hours, so it's a day drive. But yeah, there's gonna be stuff I want to go to Austin for. There's things in Austin I want to see. I'd like to go on that bat tour and stuff that they do. That would be cool. But yeah, all right. I'm rambling now and just babbling about nonsense. Yeah, Austin's in the central Texas. Texas is hot. Bree likes it hot. Bree doesn't like it cold. I have no... Look at my scrawny ass. I have no insulation. And I'm going to be out hiking and running on trails. So I'm going to be like losing weight and getting in shape. Y'all are going to see a transformation in this girl. You're going to see my health turn around, I hope. Fingers crossed. Drop off some of this winter weight and see what the future holds. Yeah, in El Paso, you're closer to San Diego than Houston. That's true. Yeah, driving across Texas is east to west or west to east is a third of the way across the country at that latitude. In the U.S., it's huge. Texas is really wide. We'll be really close to Mexico and New Mexico, though. So, hopefully I can get all my ID stuff sorted in an order so I can go on an international tour at some point. And hit the Sonora. Love to hit the Sonora. See what kind of creepy crawlies I can turn up. We'll see what the future holds, though. I'm excited for it. I hope you're excited for it, too. But that being said, I may be strapped for finances for the remainder of the year, probably. So, if any little bit can help, any little bit will help at all. So, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna try to start doing more for you guys here too, but we'll see. Hopefully, I have time to get it all taken care of. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.
With all the noise, pseudoscience, and political rhetoric clogging the airwaves about transgender people, it can be difficult to understand what's really happening and what's really true. Good news, everyone! Welcome to The Transpositions, your compass in the rugged landscape of transgender issues. Here, we strive to be the beacon of authenticity, providing a platform that amplifies the voices and experiences of the transgender community. From breaking news to in-depth features to breaking down the real science, we are committed to fostering understanding, empathy, and empowerment for all individuals across the gender spectrum. Join us as we navigate the complexities, celebrate the triumphs, and advocate for the rights of transgender people worldwide. Together, we can redefine boundaries, challenge stereotypes, and champion inclusivity. Subscribe today. The link is in the description.